Welcome back to AI for Founders. I am Ryan Estes, the podcast where we explore how founders, builders, and leaders are using AI to shape the future of business and life. Today's guest is Alex Belotsky, co-founder of TestSavant, a pioneer in AI security for enterprise applications. As we push the boundaries of what AI can do, we're also exposing ourselves to an entirely new class of threat. Alex specializes in building guardrails for companies that deploy AI so they can innovate confidently and stay protected against manipulation, data breaches, and rogue AI behaviors. In this conversation, we dive deep into what keeps AI safety professionals up at night, how agentic AI is about to revolutionize and complicate our digital lives, and what founders must understand about protecting their products and customers. Get ready. This one goes dark, but it ends with an inspiring vision of how AI can be our greatest assistant. Let's get into it. But first, some business. This episode of AI for Founders is brought to you by kitcaster.com. If you're a founder, startup executive, or thought leader, there's no better way to build influence, attract investors, and drive leads than by being a guest on the right podcasts. Kitcaster helps you do exactly that. We've booked over 800 of the world's top entrepreneurs on the world's best podcasts. We take care of the research, outreach, scheduling, so all you have to do is show up and share your expertise. Whether you're raising a round, launching a product, or building your brand, Kitcaster puts you in front of the audiences that matter most. Ready to get started? Visit kitcaster.com and apply to be a guest today. That's kitcaster.com.
Live tonight, shining stars, computer light. AI, take the flight in the glow of neon bright.
Happy Friday, Alex. How are you?
Doing well. Good to see you here, Brian.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Now, this is an AI show, of course, and it's not every day that I have safety for AI products guy on the show. So I want to start out with the scary stuff. What is really terrifying to you about AI right now?
Oh boy. Well, what's terrifying is that I don't think that the world is really ready for what's coming and what's coming really fast as well. So it's an innovation in technology that I don't think I've seen before, and it's going to change the way we live, deal with technology, deal with information, with each other. It's going to change life drastically, and I'm not sure people are really ready for it. There's a lot of talk about, AI might take your jobs. I don't think that's actually the case, because any AI that can take your job is probably clever enough to find you a new one. But overall, the way that we are going to be interacting with one another and the way we're going to be living is going to be very, very different. And that's going to expose us to a whole lot of threats that we're completely not prepared for. So it's not that we're not even prepared for the life. We're not prepared for the dangers of that type of life. Remember, like back in 20 some years ago when we started to use credit cards, very first time when shopping online, and the dangers, we thought, well, this is multiply that by 100.
Yeah.
So
I would love to hear your vision of what the future, the near or distant future, where I'm looking at, we're at what, May 2nd, 2025.
Yeah.
And now how AI works, I'm vibe coding apps that are helpful for me. I'm using a suite of different AI products, integrations into different products. Every product is trying to integrate in some way with AI. And I've got 3 or 4 tabs with multiple conversations going with GPT at any given time. So it's threaded conversations for them going on whatever I'm working on the day. If we look 12, 24, 36 months, what are the scary things that we need to be aware of?
It's 36 months. So you mean like way, way in the future when it comes to AI, right? Like it's just completely. Well, I can see. So the next stages are, of course, we're right now transitioning into the agentic AI phase. And what is an AI agent? It is a large language model. First of all, what is an AI? AI, we got to be careful that AI is used everywhere. It's artificial intelligence. We're not there yet, anywhere near. So it's large language models being put into use. They are incredible and do some amazing things, but mainly they fill in what the next word should be, right? And constantly basically trying to expand on what it thinks that the answer should be based on its understanding of all things. But it's not artificial intelligence. So we're now transitioning from one-to-one LLM usage, where like ChatGPT, you're using the model and you're interacting with it. Now we're transitioning into agentic AI. And so agentic is multiple LLMs interacting also with tools, potentially going like on the internet, doing some searches, and more, getting more and more power. Is soon enough, it's going to be doing purchases for us. So it's going to interact with our money, do some e-commerce for us. So not only be able to aggregate information right now, but then start to do things. So right now you kind of get a ChatGPT experience that here's a report. Agents will then gather things and do stuff for you, but then we'll also say, you know what, now that I've done this, now that I've gathered this information, let me now do things for you. So that's the very near future. That means now we have systems out there that are going to be pretty much in every single application, everywhere across the board. They're going to be performing tasks for us. And more into the future, they're going to be performing tasks what they think, what that system, the agents, the AI thinks is best for you. And less involve you in the loop.
Yeah.
Simply because the loop is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. You're not going to be able to interact with 100, 1,000, eventually probably even more agents, AI, little mini micro models working for you in conjunction with one another to achieve things that are very specific to your needs. And then what it thinks are specific to your needs. And now if you think of that as benefiting your life and all of the magnificent ways that it could, imagine that in the hands of the bad guys who want to hurt your life and want to benefit themselves. And that's through ways that is going to extract your money, use all of the information. Think of it like this. Think of how much information we've let out there about ourselves, how many posts, how many social media shares of pictures and things like that, without really foresight that these AI systems are going to be able to use all that to deduce the best ways to manipulate us, but the best way to potentially extract money, extract resources, and really actually potentially manipulate us mentally to have us do things that we would never ever think of, right? You imagine people susceptible to propaganda and what happens, after that. So, how radical people can get. Now imagine an AI system that knows how to pull all of your emotional and psychological strings to get you to do things. And so rogue agents, rogue actors could be doing some enormous harm, and they are out there, not just small teams, but even state and countrywide, like basically country-sized entities. North Korea, they're very, very focused on making and building and using these systems to do damage. So we have to protect ourselves in ways that we've never really understood. And, it's difficult to see that 36 months. But that's how it's going to take over. It's going to take over our lives completely, because and how we communicate and how we deal with one another is going to change drastically. Think of, right now we have AI summarizing our emails and sometimes responding to emails. Now, what if our AIs are now just responding to one another? Do we even ever email each other? Do we talk?
Right. What's the point?
And what is the nature of it going to be? Because our agentic systems could not only communicate with one another, figure out what our businesses are, and maybe even come up with some kind of a partnership and go on and do it for us. And then, so what is the nature of communication between humans, and how will we interact when things that resemble us, right, our avatars, our personas that we can see, cloning ourselves kind of from all the information that we inject into it. But then also, again, now think of all that stuff we've shared for free and is out there, and the bad actors, they're scraping it all. They're going to be using it, and take that with the account that all of our social securities, our bank accounts, our credit cards have already been stolen 3 or 4 times over from major hacks, and so our information's out there on the dark web. We're coming into a very dangerous time. So the future is that every AI is going to be absolutely everywhere, and we're all going to be very much like, all of us are going to be part of it, but we're going to have each our own specific guardrails and AI that's defending us in a 24-hour way.
Yeah, the stuff that really freaks me out too, like you're talking about bad actors and like stealing your credit card information, and I've had people steal money from me online. I happened at 15,000 was stolen from me once, and I never recovered it. It was awful. It was awful. It sucked. There's something about those kind of people that I think could be healed. That those people are probably in some far off country and they're suffering, and so they're doing that. I think that maybe AI in a different capacity might be able to elevate some of those people, which is just to say that like those problems suck and they're terrible, but I feel like the person is salvageable. Now we have other things culturally that happens. Let's say in this country, we have school shooters, you have mass shooters, which I'm really worried about, largely because it's an indictment on humanity. So they're not bad actors. They're not saying, and they're not like full of murderous rage. They're not like, this guy in particular, I'm gonna go get him. You go stab that guy or something. I think we could all relate to that. We've wanted to stab. Some people act on that. But it's the people that truly just undiscriminately like just will kill a bunch of people. And it seems to happen more and more and more. So with these tools, what's happening is the democratization of technology, information, and tools means the price for everything goes way down. So if we look at what happened with COVID was a lab link, let's just say it was a lab link in Wuhan. Well, how much did it cost to develop the Wuhan lab where they're creating novel viruses? For God's sake, maybe $1 billion. Well, again, flash forward 36 months with all of these tools and all these capabilities. Who's to say that like you can't go do 2 orders of magnitude cheaper than that? And once it gets to be $100,000 to be able to resequence viruses, and you marry that with people that not only don't have the love of humanity in their heart, but they want to punish all humans as much as they can, then you're getting into like these, like a literal malicious attack that could wipe out everybody with a virus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, very much so. Yeah. And that's not in the far future. That is
right.
a very near future.
It seems quick, right?
And it's coming very quickly. And the way that kind of permutates right now is, so what these AI systems are able to do is they're able to broaden the community of bad actors who have access to. So we used to have, you have to be like a sophisticated developer to be able to come up with some kind of malware or some type of a virus, something like this. So now I myself, who have never developed any kind of malware, I can fairly easily do that by just knowing how to jailbreak via some prompt injections some of these the best models right there on the market right now. Even though they have their own internal guardrails put in, they're so broad and expansive that they don't really do any kind of focus, like they don't protect really anything. And there's a chicken and egg situation as well, because these big providers of large language models, the more guardrails that they put in and embed into the systems as they deploy them to the public, the dumber they are. So the broader that they put these guardrails, like the less ability that they have and capability. So in order to compete, they need to reduce them. And you can see that they are already doing that, which puts the onus on the users to secure and protect. Because right now, I have very much capability to go in and jailbreak Gemini, ChatGPT, all of the latest models into giving me instructions on how to create all the different tools that are going to exfiltrate data, all the malware, viruses, all how to make lethal devices, methamphetamine, all kinds of everything and anything that you want. All that information's out there. So because these companies, they scraped everything from the dark web, right? They scraped everything from anywhere that they could in order to feed their monster machines to be smarter and more clever. And the less guardrails, the better they are, and the more you have access to all of this kind of bad information. And so this puts it into the hands of 14, 15-year-olds who understand how to manipulate AI, which is a completely different style of attack as well. Before, you used to think of firewalls, and there's a gap 0-day attack. The community learns about it, everybody patches, everything's great, right? So it does a limit, like some damage, but then everybody stops it. AI is not a system that can be firewalled, because these are not specific system gaps or like a open port. These systems, they're not hacked, they're manipulated. They're manipulated into giving you the instructions and how to do it. The way you manipulate them is what we call right now like a prompt injection, which leads to a jailbreak. And during our red team testing that we, some very extensive red teaming that we do on these models, we discover ways to be able to manipulate and coerce the system into thinking that, it's its best thing to do right now is to give me it's life or death situation for it to write me a virus that takes your money. And so it opens up the path to the community for anybody who never knew how to do this to now be able to do it. And in the next few years, as these systems are doing these things for us, it really becomes like, you come in, you manipulate it, you jailbreak it, and then say, well, give me not only the malware, but now scan the internet to see where are the vulnerabilities, who are the old people. So who are the people that are now going to be manipulated via deepfake, via email, text, interactions with voice that mimics absolutely everybody, including their loved ones, right? So you can have an AI scrape your video right now, and if you're talking to somebody that you care, well, now their persona is in the hands of potentially an attacker. Next thing you know, you're getting a voice call or a video call from that person that and love and will absolutely bail out, as they currently do in actual significant attacks. They attack older people and whoever is susceptible to this with personas, voices, and image. And we have to protect that. And now when you focus on companies and corporations that are actually innovating with this technology, so they want to be able to build and use as much of this as possible to their advantage to increase their ROI, and they have a very significant amount of it that they can gain from using these systems. But in order to deploy them out to the users, they have to be protected from all of these completely new and novel attacks, which puts them at huge risk. Actually, it's about 4 million average right now of damages that companies are looking to incur by releasing unsupervised and what in a lot of times they think are actually secure models or secure applications using it. Certainly not. So they are getting hit. They're going to get hit even more and harder, and bigger and more sophisticated data breaches are going to occur. And so companies, in order to deploy, in order to innovate super rapidly, they have to do it within a safety framework. And they have to be able to be confident that they know what their AI is doing when it's out there interacting with people, and whether internally doing their financial calculations and reporting, or in kiosks in fast foods and fast food restaurants, and then all kinds of theme parks. So it could influence millions, and people could see that very well, that if I break into the system, I'll have access to potentially millions of users that I can manipulate further. And I don't need to come up with a way to do it. I'll just let my advanced models that OpenAI and Google will be releasing every couple of weeks, right? So the defenses have to grow in sophistication as these models are able to grow in knowledge and abilities.
And it's probably a good time to introduce your company, TestSavant, that does exactly this. And I see the utility of this because I hadn't thought about it in this way. So you create IT security for AI companies. So if I'm vibe coding, I get a cool AI company built, then you're going to install protections in it. And why that's important to me is I don't want, to do anything malicious, obviously, but boy, would that be terrible as if some horrible event happened because the company attacked my product, took the product and did something malicious with it. So now, being an AI creator, you have to kind of think about, how you're going to be responsible to, not to be overly dramatic, the entire world by creating the proper safety boundaries and parameters. So give us a little rundown. To use me as a use case, I built an AI product. Go through kind of what are the attributes of your ideal clients and then exactly what you do for those products.
Okay. So assume you're built you build your AI application. It's going to be constantly be using more and more intuitive models. You want to stay up with the market, and so you're going to constantly update your model, and you are going to be deploying that model into some environment, jurisdiction, area of the world, which could have various attention to the safety side. So, for example, in Europe, they're a lot more focused with the EU for AI Act, right? And GDPR, but they also are starting to implement the AI Act, which has significant penalties for exposing user information, giving all kinds of false details, manipulating people. So very, very huge penalties there. Canada has its own laws. California, so even though America itself, like U.S., is somewhat now reducing its security frameworks or governance and how much people are going to be forced to adhere to, but California, for example, has its own. And so as you're deploying into specific markets, you need to be, first of all, aware what is your application going to be hitting, like which areas of AI usage are you going to be liable for in that particular area of the world, region, and the jurisdiction? What are the damages that you can be charged for? And then also protecting it from things that you don't even can like reputational damage, right?
Sure.
And reputational damage comes in many different forms. There was a company, I think it was Character AI, and it had avatars that would interact with the user. And there was a terrible incident where the AI manipulated the 14-year-old to end his life. And so it was a huge situation. And so seeing and tools that observe are able to collect all of the information, all of the interaction that AI has with basically that the systems have with the LLMs, be able to show that, be able to understand and explain what is the AI doing in each of those situations, protect the inputs from all these jailbreaks and these prompt injections. And even if those occur, then sanitize the output. Make sure that no personal information comes out, no toxicity, no discussions of violence, things like that. And the system then has to adapt automatically on the fly 24/7 to all the various permutations that are not going to be coming from humans, that are going to be poked and prodded by the AI systems themselves. There's approaches for attacks starting from reconnaissance all the way to developing specific tools to attack very specific vulnerabilities. So imagine an AI agent watching and listening at every one of those stages, and the moment that it gets a little sense of it discovered something, it shares it with the rest of the system, and they all go and they all attack and bombard. So your enterprise application that now has significant AI usage, and it's not just one. So yeah, you've developed the AI application, but it's also in all of your Microsoft products. You got Copilots, you got Canva has, right? Every application now is touching AI. So you as a company need to also know how is all of this being used? who is using it in an unauthorized way, unsecured way. So we offer a platform that is able to collect all this telemetry, all of this data that's coming between all of the different AI communicating with one another, protect the inputs, protect the outputs, sanitize the outputs, and do that automatically and adjust in an autonomous way, because the amount of settings and configuration and things like temperatures and thresholds, terms that aren't even all that well understood. What is a temperature of AI? And it really means how creative it could be, and how, so the on one scale, it's consistently going to be giving you the same exact like not interesting response. And on the other side of the scale, completely wild from every, you ask it the same thing and it'll just be giving you all kinds of creative different things. So how does a security engineer in an enterprise manage all of this, right? So whatever guardrail that they set and forget, which is the vast majority of the market right now, whatever settings that they put on these guardrails, protect these words, protect, do this and that, they go to sleep. At 3 a.m, there's a big, huge attack. Wake up everybody, change all of the settings. Okay, we now are protected. By 4:30, the attackers have now figured out a new process, right? A new way in. So it has to be consistently adapted. It has to understand what's coming in. We basically are using AI to protect AI from AI, and including humans in the loop, in a new way where we're not bombarded by a bunch of noise and huge amount of messaging and potential, look at this and look at that, to isolate exactly what the people need to focus on, the engineers need to dedicate their time to, because again, let the AI do its thing, but keep people in the loop, interacting and evaluating performance, which is, I think, really going to be all of our lives. We're going to all be prompt engineers and evaluators of these systems. And that's, I think, the interesting interaction that we have to consider when building these out. But yes, ours is a autonomous security firewall for enterprise apps.
And it sounds like there's kind of 3 buckets of exposure and threats that, as a creator, entrepreneur, founder, I should be concerned about. Bad actors, of course, but then there's compliance, whether that's with countries or regions or whatever, where you might just blindly walk in somewhere and incur incredible reputational damage and fines and penalties, and you're just ignorant of it. And then the third one is almost, everybody's building on the backs of these LLMs because they're so expensive, and it's so inexpensive to use their models, that you also have exposure of whatever happens with that model is also it's their terms of services, so that if their LLM goes off the rails in some way that affects your product, that then puts you in some kind of maybe exposure or compliance for whatever terrible thing that they did. So are there any other kind of vectors of threats that I should be thinking about? Hey founders, let me ask you this. Are you building with AI or getting left behind by it? If you're serious about scaling smarter, faster, and bolder, you need to check out aiforfounders.co. It's your go-to resource for cutting through the noise and actually using AI to grow your startup. Each week, AI for Founders drops a sharp, no-fluff newsletter, dives deep with expert guests on the podcast, and hosts monthly workshops where you can get your hands dirty with the real tools and strategies. Whether you're pre-seed or Series B and beyond, launching something new, or just staying sharp, AI for Founders gives you the edge you need to win in 2025 and beyond. Hit aiforfounders.co to subscribe to the newsletter, tune into the podcast, and grab your spot in the next workshop. And it's all free. Build smarter, move faster, think bolder with AI for Founders. Now back to the show.
Absolutely. So, well, again, taking a step back, how would we go about figuring this out? We come in with, first of all, We understand what region, what are you looking to do with the applications? What are you currently doing? Who's using them? Where are all of the applications all apps that are touching AI within the company? And what regions, what's your intended use? And then we isolate all of the different governance frameworks like ISO, NIST, HIPAA, basically figure out what is that you are going to be most liable for, where you're looking to deploy. Then we run as we do like a red teaming assessment. And red teaming goes back to the military, red team, blue team, attack defense simulation. So right now there's this term red team that's become super popular, and that is pen testing of LLMs. And so the second stage after determining the governance frameworks that are most important is doing all the red teaming pest tests. So evaluating the current LLMs to their susceptibility to the different attack vectors. And that is all of the different techniques that we now know and also discover with our own AI systems that are constantly prodding and trying to see, okay, we're getting a little bit more in this area. Let's explore further and expand on the technique there. So we see what is the current susceptibility, where are the current gaps. And all of that information is then fed into our guardrail system. So then there's that active 24-hour firewall that protects based on the governance frameworks and the exact compliance that you are going to need as a company, as a business. See where all of your current problems are, and then fill in all of the security side, the configurations, the thresholds, the temperatures, pre-configure everything, and actively be scanning and searching, reevaluating, redeploying all of the different guardrails. And again, consider that's just one application. Sure, you can think of uses ChatGPT or GPT-4 or something like that. But now the agentic ones, dozens and dozens and then hundreds. And so each one of those have to be evaluated and protected from the input and the output. Now imagine the complexity of the system that is involved in that. If we talk about 6, 12, and then complete far future, the complexity is so immense, and the attack vectors themselves are going to be discovered by what we call the rogue AI. When we have one of our own, which we constantly are running to find and test different permutations in the sandbox, right? To see where our guardrails might fail. What's a new technique that this thing can discover and then protect. So it's this never-ending kind of never-ending search for new discovery, for new attacks, and then immediately patch them up. And all of this happens via the actual usage with the application, because each application has its own users, how people interact with it, and then discovering what the world knows and gathering information about existing attacks, condensing all of that and extracting what we need in order to create the specific data sets that will now expand on new attacks and patch new holes. And so it's again, AI protecting AI from AI, and it's a serious challenge.
I tell you what, I'm scared as hell, and I'm sold. So using me as a use case, when is the time that I should come talk to you and deploy TestSavant? Is it when before you're in the market? What's the best time for somebody like me to reach out?
At every stage. So you're trying to make plans. You're hearing of all of the possible ROI. You're hearing of all the huge advantages that AI can give you. You want to build as fast as possible and get that out in the market and use it and try to figure out how it can benefit you. The only way that you can do that is by figuring it out and doing it safely. If you already have AI deployed out there, it's not safe. Come see us, we'll test it. We'll show you where exactly it falls and fails. And then you can adjust in simple manual ways, but it'll fail again. And then if you're already using sophisticated systems and already have a dev team that is realizing how complex that challenge is and is now dedicating resources to this, you got to understand every company is going to have a dedicated, extensive resource committed to managing 24 hours a day these new types of vulnerabilities and managing their important systems and protecting their clients and their clients' information from these new, very, very complex things. So we allow them to offload all of that to us, the company. You focus on what you do best, on building and servicing your clients, and we take care of all of that never-ending challenge of trying to patch and trying to protect your systems from attacks wherever they may come into the future, and then discovering not only the new governance frameworks, all of these different basically all these frameworks that would penalize you, discovering new laws, new things that will come down the pipe, implement that immediately into our testing and into our defenses so that you're always covered, so that you're and show all this to your auditors. Be able to show and explain as soon as if there is an attack, if there is something that happens, if there is a loss, be able to immediately explain it all. One of our big paths is cyber insurance companies that are, for example, they're going to get hit with huge amount of damage liability because they simply don't even know what the companies that they deal with, if they're compliant in any way. So we are offering ability to now attach to all of their clients' applications. They are able to see what the people that they're offering insurance to, how they're using it, and if they're using it in non-safe ways, they can charge more and then give discounts if people are basically complying and making it safer for the entire community and reducing the damages that could be lost for some of these companies that are covering these damages. So it has to happen. You want to build in a safe way, and you want to build fast to take advantage of all of this technology. And the only way you do that is with a sophisticated guardrail system. So whether it's TestSavant or anybody else, you must. You cannot skip on the security.
And what's your business model? Is this a usage base?
Because AI is oftentimes a token, tokens. Tokens is really a couple of characters, right? But everything is considered in the AI is by tokens. You hear how the models come out with able to handle 1 million tokens, 500,000 tokens. So there's a usage, but we're also deploying right now our SaaS. So pay as you go and be able to cover the medium size businesses. So we're right now most of the market is basically either a free product or enterprise, which is whatever that might be, right? It's basically a custom package. But we now our platform, we built it out in a way that's going to be is going to be a SaaS, and we're going to have a couple of tiers that are going to be tracking everything as far as all the usage, all the tokenization, because we offer 3 approaches. One is our guardrails are really, really good. They're best. We consider them to be best in the market. As good as guardrails get. We then have the self-adaptive systems that require more tokens and a bit more expenditure of a bit more overhead. And then we have the fully autonomous running all the time. And so those will be for the highest risk applications. And I guess it depends on the level of risk that you're more concerned with. So, but yeah, it'll be per usage. It'll be several different tiers, and we'll have a free, and we have a middle tier that anybody can buy as they use, and then enterprise.
Cool. Any idea what the pricing will be on those tiers?
So There'll be a free community. Our models are already deployed, so our models are already a Hugging Face, and anybody can download them and use them in their applications right now. We already have our in cloud option, and so we just finished our SDK as well, that anybody's going to be very, very easily able to attach to our system. And that middle tier is probably somewhere around, we'll see, it's ranging about $1,000, something like this. It's about $1,500 a month. It depends, of course, on what features. If you want red teaming involved, you want fully autonomous things going on in the background. So that'll be the middle tier. And then for enterprise, that's depends on how many applications, but that could probably go into three figures.
Yeah.
Six figures. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I tell you what, I am thoroughly freaked out. I think it's so wise though. Like to your point, like to bring somebody in-house that's consistently doing this is derailing to the creativity and the pace that you need to deploy an AI product. I mean, you need to be stay focused on what you're doing and get the sales going. So I see such value for offloading this work to you, and ultimately as a creator, offloading some of the responsibility. You'd be like, hey man, Alex is my guy. You go find him. But it's really
that's
cool.
What we are. It's right now the challenge is we're on the forefront of innovation, and so we are a solution partner, and that's where we want to work with people to solve the problems that might arise from their exploring AI in its full potential. And so we come in and we work very, very close. We're a concierge type, a boutique service where it's a white glove service from start to finish. And yes, like you said, it allows the company, the enterprise, to focus on their core competence and develop AI as they need for their usage, their business, and their clients, while we handle all of the defense, all of the security side and the compliance side, making sure that they know exactly what is happening, and their auditors and their insurers can be confidently, interacting with them and knowing what's going on at all times, which is going to become more and more imperative, and in certain areas, mandatory by law.
I love it. As we're wrapping up here, we definitely went down the dark web angle, which is great, and we need to, especially our listeners here, need to really take it into consideration. But what's something that's hopeful about AI? What's something that you're really excited about? You think that would be a good thing? Of course, there's many, but what's really firing you up right now with AI, LLMs, and the market in general?
Well, first of all, for me itself, it's absolutely magnificent and almost magical. I have my own Jarvis. I have my own, assistant that is able to give me so much information and expand my capabilities so much. This is kind of going back to what I said in the beginning, where people are concerned about losing their jobs. What they're not seeing is that those that care and those that are interested, they're getting 10 plus more expansion of all of their capabilities, all of everything and anything that you might have had a question about or didn't know how to proceed. You now have tools that are able to guide you and 10x, if not more, your productivity, your knowledge, the amount of information and how information is now going to be absorbed. And myself as well, over the last few years with the chat GPTs and interacting with them, they've had an enormous impact on my business, on my life in general, the way I learn, the level of knowledge I can now come into any room with, and a vast majority of companies right now, if certain individuals really take the time to learn how to interact and how to use these systems to their benefit, they can become the most powerful people in their companies. Absolutely every department, they'll know something more and interesting than even the people that are experts in them. So there are moments in time when whoever is using AI to their advantage, they are probably the most powerful people in that enterprise until others, realize what's happening. So yeah, that's the most incredible thing, is that we're all going to be, that it's not that we're going to lose jobs, we're going to be assisted and guided into new and absolutely amazing way of living. So creativity is going to expand, I think, and knowledge and the way we teach children and what these kids are now going to know and how much they're going to know. It's absolutely, it's the difference from transitioning from books in text to digital, right? It's that level. It's physical mail to email. It's just absolutely going to 10 to 100x every one of our capabilities if we put them to use.
Amazing. Alex, this has been awesome. If someone wants to reach out to you personally, what's the best way to do it?
Alex at testsavant.ai, always available there. Alex Belotsky on Belotsky on LinkedIn. So reach out there. I'm often interacting there, and yeah, I think those are two really good ways to do it.
Tremendous. Thanks so much, Alex.
Ryan, it's been fantastic. Great being here.
So let's talk about podcasts for a second. You're listening to one, which is awesome, by the way. Thank you so much. But have you ever thought about being a guest on a podcast? Like, seriously, imagine sharing your story and your expertise and your business all on shows where your ideal customers are already listening. Kitcaster connects founders and entrepreneurs, professionals, with podcasts that actually make sense for their brand. No pitching, no guessing. You just have great conversations on great shows. And the best part, Kitcaster handles everything. You just show up and bring your A game, Kitcaster does the rest. This is hands down one of the easiest ways to grow your personal brand and just create a wellspring of content for short video, for blog posts, for speaking engagements, for whatever. So if you've been thinking, yeah, I really need to step up my content game, go to kitcaster.com and apply today. Now back to the show.